We're in Fiji, a tropical paradise made up of more than 300 islands in the South Pacific. Whilst it's best known to tourists as a holiday destination to sip cocktails and relax by the beach, on this epic adventure, my friend Dan and I are journeying far into the outer island group in search of the most pristine marine environments and ecosystems this country has to offer. Join us on this adventure as we explore the Great Astrolabe Reef from our home base on Ono Island.
The Great Astrolabe Reef is the fourth largest barrier reef in the world. Whilst the Fijian Islands have many great diving and fishing locations to offer, on this trip we decided to explore the harder to get to and less trafficked reefs and deep water off the very southern end of the island group. Not only is it aflush with magical coral gardens and reef fish species whose beauty, words and video alone will never fully be able to capture, but it is also a known breeding ground for many large pelagic fish, including manta rays, tuna, giant trevally, wahoo, marlin, swordfish, mahi-mahi, and of course, sharks. To get there, we flew to Fiji's main island, Viti Levu. A short overnight stay in a motel opposite the airport, and the next morning we went back across the road for our flight to Kadavu Island.
I can't believe that Fiji doesn't even have. They've been 20 SPF, that's the max sun cream they've got.
Go up to SPF 20 here.
What's that about? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Here we go, let's get in here.
Sebelum pindah, ladies and gentlemen, refugee link service flight FJ141. FJ141 bound for Kadavu is now ready for boarding.
From Kadavu, we journeyed another hour up the coast by boat to where we would be staying for our trip, Ono Island.
We're here for 10 days, during which we're going to explore as much of the coral reef and the surrounding areas as possible, including venturing to nearby Yambu Island, where every evening thousands of ocean hunting seabirds return to roost. Whilst we're here, we want to be catching and cooking our own fresh seafood as much as possible. We've got a few species in mind, from smallest fish like coral trout to larger species like mahi-mahi and wahoo, all of which will make for some incredibly delicious meals. There is, however, a catch.
Ciguatera. It's a toxin you get from eating contaminated reef fish that causes severe food poisoning. That's a poison that the fish get, the little hippie fish. They eat the food, they eat the algae that grows on the coral. That gets into their body, and then bigger fish eat those fish, and here we are. And then we have a whole food chain affected by this poison that will give you severe food poisoning. It's not something you want to have. There's no cure. You can't cook that stuff out of the fish by, cooking it to death. There is no known treatment, so if affected, you'll be waiting out the symptoms and hoping for the best. Clearly, local knowledge and guidance on what is ultimately safe to eat is going to be essential.
Yes. What about Ciguatera?
Ciguatera, mostly the yellowtail barracudas is the poisonous one.
I spoke to Nui, he told me that he told me that he had Ciguatera.
That's the most bullshit person.
Hey! Have you had Ciguatera?
No.
Lucky.
Yes.
How about you, George? No. Okay. All right, well then we should be safe, Don't let me get it, I don't want to get it.
The Great Astrolabe Reef has literally hundreds of dive sites to choose from. With only so many days available to us, we had to make choices about the sites we visited during our stay. Naturally, weather and prevailing winds play a big part in what dive sites can be accessed on any given day. Luckily for us, the weather was great, allowing us on most days to reach the more isolated dive sites along the reef. This isn't, however, always the case. In 2016, Fiji was hit by what was, at the time, the most destructive tropical cyclone ever to make landfall in the South Pacific. Cyclone Winston. The storm caused widespread devastation across the islands and inflicted significant damage on the surrounding coral reefs, the effects of which are still visible today. Large hard coral growth structures such as plate and staghorn corals, which are more susceptible to breaking under the immense pressures of turbulent water caused by violent weather and winds that in some places clocked in at nearly 300 kilometers per hour, were particularly affected. The storm's path was wide-ranging, but its effects were especially bad on the islands and coastline along the Great Astrolabe Barrier Reef. As pretty as these pieces of washed-up coral may seem to visitors, they are in fact remnants, reminding those who live here of more violent and destructive times. Miraculously though, life, in true form, finds a way through even the darkest of hours. Despite the typically slow-growing nature of corals, the recovery of the Great Astrolabe and surrounding reefs since this devastating weather event is a clear demonstration of the resilience of the Earth's natural ecosystems and their ability, given time, to bounce back from the edges of tragedy. At the northernmost point of the Astrolabe Reef lies another reef, separated only just from the main reef line. Solo. Rising dramatically from the depths, this isolated marvel is the unbroken caldera rim of an ancient, now submerged volcano. It's a perfect circular sanctuary, a masterpiece of nature where fiery beginnings have given way to vibrant life by way of a hidden underwater world brimming with color and vitality. Between the two reef structures, currents converge and accelerate, creating torrents of water teeming with life that thrives in the nutrient-rich flow. From the outside, the ocean swells surge forward, crashing onto the reef's edge. On the inside, waters calm as the power of the waves dissipate into a gentle ripple. At the center of the caldera lies a lighthouse, a beacon of light guiding ships to safe passage. Exquisite dive sites line both sides of the reef's outer walls, offering endless opportunities for exploration. Kele and Wall Street are two such sites. These sites, among others in the immediate vicinity, are the jewels in the region's crown. Surprisingly shallow at the top, a rainbow-colored kaleidoscope of corals exists just a couple of feet beneath the water's surface. The sun's rays beam through the water, hitting the submerged rock foundations, powering photosynthesis and the growth of corals. Looking along the reef line, stretching into the distance in either direction for as far as the eye can see, a myriad of colorful reef fish shimmer in the current between the coral structures below and the surface above. Blue hippo tangs, pairs of masked butterfly fish, families of clownfish, bicolor and coral beauty angelfish, and any number of small gobies, blennies, and other rockhopper fish blending in plain sight amongst the corals. Adjacent to the reef, engulfing schools of queenfish swim and sink, forming a type of group consciousness as they coordinate tail and fin movements. From time to time, large predators will swim by, patrolling the ever-dangerous edges of the reef. This has to be one of the most biodiverse ecosystems, underwater or otherwise, in the world. As our day came to a close, on our journey home, the ocean offered us one last special surprise, bringing us into the presence of one of its most unique creations. Mantas. Large, majestic creatures that glide gracefully through our oceans. These gentle giants can reach 7 meters in length from wingtip to wingtip and can live for up to 50 years. Found in both shallow and deeper waters, seeing these animals up close is an experience you will never forget. Dotted along the Great Astrolabe Reef are a few very special locations where mantas visit shallow water spots known as cleaning stations. Here, mantas circle coral bommies in between 3 and 10 meters of water, regularly pausing, suspended in the water column, allowing small reef fish to pick parasites off their bodies. It's a mesmerizing display of nature's harmony and a rare opportunity to connect with one of the ocean's most awe-inspiring inhabitants. Where there is great diving, there is often great fishing, and the waters around the Great Astrolabe Reef are no exception. To break up our diving, we organized a boat to go fishing to see what fish species we could get our lines into. Top of the list was the famed giant trevally. These sleek, powerful predators patrol the turbulent whitewash zones where the waves crash against the reef's edge. In these chaotic waters, giant trevally hunt with precision and ferocity, either alone or in coordinated packs. They surge through schools of baitfish, singling out those that are too slow to react or that panic and dart, often fatally, in the wrong direction. To find these fish, we navigated to the outer edge of the reef during high tide, allowing us to safely cross the rocky reef below by boat. This shortcut saved us the need to search for breaks in the reef to access the outer waters. Once beyond the breakers, we began scouting along the reef for promising spots to try our luck.
Yeah, about it, because especially if you go for GT fishing,
Yeah,
there's not one spot that is always active.
there's
the
many
fish
spots.
Many spots.
Right.
There's many spots that the Fiji GT is like.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is just try on every different spots
Yeah.
all the time. Sometimes they are here, next day they are
Somewhere
like
else.
further down.
Our guide, Simelian George, explained that giant trevally schools move constantly along the reef, so success required stopping and casting into the whitewash at various points to locate the fish and provoke a bite. Chaos ensued early on with our first attempts leading to violent hookups. Unfortunately, as is very common when fishing close to reefs, the fish busted our line on the sharp rocky coral growth structures below.
That was all of about 2 minutes. Fish on the line snapped. Lucky we saw the braid. We almost lost it. It got snapped quite high up in the braid. We've recovered the lure. There it is. We've still got the giant trevally crack as we know it. And we're gonna try again. Simeli's tying a new knot there. All right. It's gonna happen a lot, I think, huh?
A few casts later and boom, we were hooked up yet again. We had to work fast to bring the fish away from the reef into the deeper water where the risk of having our line cut on the reef structure was less of a concern. With the rod bent over double due to the immense force of the aquatic muscle lip hooked to the end of our line, it took a team effort to position the boat and the fish such that we could successfully win ground and eventually land the fish.
Here it is, the giant trevally in Fiji. Okay, should we let him go? That was probably one of the hardest fights I've ever had. Harder than a marlin, pretty much. Not as long. Yeah, harder than a tuna.
You're never gonna forget or say it, but
Yeah, you give him a little tap on the head there. Oh fuck,
look at his little teeth.
it's heavy as fuck. This is a big boy fish, we're gonna let him go.
Whilst locals do eat these large fish, GTs these days are not so much food sources as they are sports fish, prized by anglers around the world. Even here in the islands, locals recognize the allure of these fish to international visitors and therefore generally leave the fish alone so as to ensure there is always a better than average chance that visitors can successfully end up with a fish on the line when they come to visit.
Good job. Cheers. Thanks, George. Well done, mate. All you, baby.
Having achieved our target with the GT, we decided to spend the remainder of the day fishing for some of the smaller reef fish species that are in fact particularly delicious and don't enjoy the same pardons as the GT. We made our way back to the calmer, shallower waters on the inside of the reef, where we carefully navigated the boat around coral bommies protruding from the seafloor, whilst casting into the distance to entice fish out from their overhangs and hideouts. It took a few casts, splashing small topwater poppers across the surface of the water, but before long, we had hooked into a series of reef fish, including a peacock groper, a coral trout, and a bluefin trevally, all of which are prized eating fish in the islands. As the daylight began to fade, we made our way back to base to prepare the day's catch and put a close to what was yet another amazing day of adventure in the paradise that is the Great Astrolabe Reef. On our way, we noticed the skies coming to life around a small island set out in the distance. We detoured over to it to find thousands of birds circling the island in an immense holding pattern, waiting for their turn to land, with many more already perched in the trees. Yambu Island, which the locals aptly refer to as Bird Island. The sheer number of birds on and around the island was astonishing.
See up there, Michael, there's two kinds of birds up there.
Yeah.
It's frigates
Yeah.
and boomies.
Yeah.
Frigates, it's you can see it's like the tail, like a scissors in the.
Okay.
And you can see the boomies, it's the tail, not
Different tail.
different tails.
So one has a split tail.
One is the split tails and one is the.
Quite difficult to tell the difference, eh?
You can see the black one. The ones that fly high, that's the frigates.
Yeah.
The ones that getting low, that's a boomy. But some still not yet come.
Yeah.
So all the birds, if you see a little bit when it's suns go down a little bit, you can see them flying from all the direction, from the north, from the east,
Yeah.
from the south, from the west.
Yeah.
They all coming from here. And the frigates, they always we call it like it's a lazy bird.
Lazy.
Yeah, they can hunt for their food. They're waiting for the boomies to come,
Yeah.
and they're chasing the boom.
Oh,
They're chasing them around after they swallowed out their fish,
Yeah.
and they eat it dead.
Right.
Yeah.
They harass.
They harass, yeah.
And the boobies throw up their
Crop
food,
food.
and then these guys take the food.
Yeah.
So it's like a relationship. It's like a relationship. In a way, I guess it is, Eddie boy. All right, so basically, Seiko has taken us to Yambu Island. Now we're on the island. We're gonna launch the drone and see this. Every night, these birds come back. There's thousands of them. And it's a little rookery. No one's allowed to land here. Seiko's given us the profession, like the wonderful guy that he is, you know, he's given us a little okay. And anyway, enough talking. We'll get the drone up and do all the rest on a voiceover.
We learned from our new friend Seiko, a local born and raised in the area, that Yambu Island is one of Fiji's only significant seabird rookeries. Red-footed boobies and white-breasted frigate birds, flying in from all directions, descend every evening like clockwork on Yambu Island at dusk to settle their stomachs with the day's fishing exploits and feed their young who wait eagerly on the edges of the forest canopy for mum and dad to return. But why, of all the islands in the general area, have the birds chosen to make Yambu their home? Isolation, safety, abundant nesting sites, and proximity to feeding grounds are clearly contributing factors, but other islands in the area deliver those as well, so the question still remains. As it happens, seabirds exhibit a strong sense of loyalty to specific nesting sites, often returning to the same island they were born or have previously nested. Once a colony establishes itself on an island, it typically remains there for generations. This is a truly spectacular show of nature and a privilege to witness.
But thank you. Thank you for organizing it, bro.
Thank you.
It was very special.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
Well, luckily there's nothing but drones, huh? You can say that again, dude.
To the west of the Great Astrolabe Reef are a series of dive sites that are not part of the main protective barrier reef line that borders the eastern side of the island chain. Split Rock. Split Rock is a site that is uniquely characterized by a labyrinth of caves, gullies, and dramatic rock formations, formed over millennia by both volcanic activity and the relentless power of the ocean. It is both an eerie and inspiring place to be immersed in. As you enter the caves, large fan corals sway slowly, ghost-like in the current, filtering food as you weave through, exploring the shadows. The roofs of the cave play host to a variety of life. Sponges cling to rocky overhangs alongside vibrant coral species, including intricate branching colonies of black sun corals and dazzling clusters of orange cup corals. Despite being dimly lit, these caves are an oasis where amongst the corals and sponges, tiny shrimp, fish, and other invertebrates navigate the nooks and crannies, thriving in their secluded gardens. Venturing deeper into the underwater structures, you come across all manner of exquisite, strange, and wonderful creatures, like these nudibranchs, and this particularly captivating electric clam, which has made its home deep at the back of a cave, glowing in the darkness, feeding on unsuspecting plankton attracted to its dazzling display. At various points, you can choose to go upwards towards heaven-like light-filled escape holes, or continue down darker passages, eventually finding your way back to the light and open water. Diamond Rock. Diamond Rock offers a somewhat deeper dive compared to most sites along the reef. What stands out most about this spot is the sheer number of reef sharks that patrol the reef edges and drop-offs. These sleek predators glide through the water, looking out for any sign of weakness and ultimately an easy meal. Whilst they pose no real threat to divers, for reef fish, a single misstep or straying too far from the safety of the reef can mean a swift and deadly fate. Having only dived here once, we couldn't help but wonder, was this abundance of sharks a coincidence? Perhaps influenced by the currents of the season? Or is there something about this particular environment that naturally draws in more sharks than other parts of the reef? A more abundant food source, perhaps? For now, the mystery remains unsolved. Two-thirds to the north, towards the eastern edge of the Great Astrolabe Reef, lies a dive site known as the Park. It's a sandy bottom lagoon on the protected inner side of the reef, sheltered from the perpetual crashing of the waves outside. This site features an easy dive that offers a range of interest to divers. Colossal ancient staghorn corals branch upwards from the sea floor, forming cages of protection for smaller reef inhabitants. Shallow water coral bommies glisten with color as sun rays filter through the water column. Shoals of little fish dart in and out of the protective structures. Large anemones find strongholds in strange and seemingly isolated places, providing refuge to small villages of reef fish including clownfish, black-spotted damselfish, and oftentimes anemone shrimp. On the seafloor, hidden in the sand, is something very special, a newly discovered species of stingray. According to the local dive specialists, These specific rays are an endemic species, still yet to be classified by taxonomists, found only along the Great Astrolabe Reef. As you drift through the calm, protected waters, the symphony of the reef surrounds you. An orchestra of clicks, chirps, and other mysterious sounds ring out, showing just how full of life the underwater world is. Fiji is a nation of villages. Locals proudly come from and belong to a village, each with its own chief and a shared responsibility to protect the environment and care for its people. This structure is at the heart of the Fijian way of life, and as a visitor, understanding and respecting this aspect of Fijian culture not only enriches your experience, but also earns you the respect and the support of the locals that live here. While staying at hotels or resorts, you'll get a glimpse of Fijian culture. However, much of the groundwork, such as gaining access and permissions, has already been handled by the resort operators in collaboration with local village chiefs. This is particularly true for the more remote islands, where village consultation is an integral part to allowing visitors to enjoy the land and the ocean. To truly experience the Fijian way of life, take the time to visit a nearby village. You'll find the residents eager to welcome you and share their traditions, offering you a genuinely authentic insight into life in Fiji. Protocol is important. Showing you understand and respect their practices goes a long way. When you enter the village, for instance, it is customary to bring with you what is known as a sevu, an offering that symbolizes respect and gratitude for being welcomed into their community. This is a cultural ceremony whereby the chief will grant you permission to enter the village. A sevu can take many forms, from small cash donations to gifts like clothing or toys for the children, practical items that can enhance village life. However, the most esteemed offering is kava. Fijians love kava. Made from the ground-up roots of the kava plant, this traditional drink, shared across the islands, is more than just a beverage. It's a symbol of unity. Kava brings people together, mends disputes, and rekindles friendships, even in the face of adversity. Deeply embedded in the Fijian identity, it's a cornerstone of their social fabric. For those wishing to show the highest level of respect, consider bringing premium-grade kava, preferably whole roots rather than pre-ground powder. It's a gesture that will not go unnoticed and will leave a lasting impression on the village community. As our trip inevitably drew to a close, we were able to reflect on just how extraordinary the Great Astrolabe Reef and its surrounding islands truly are, and how lucky we are to have had the opportunity to explore this remarkable part of the world and be part of its story. And whilst we didn't catch all the fish we had hoped to, nor visit all the dive sites on offer, we did nevertheless experience some truly world-class diving and fishing. We came away enriched by both the people and the place, and can wholeheartedly recommend it to all of you out there looking for your own next epic mission.
Thank you very much. Very beautiful. Touching. But my heart is on the right side.